Let's pray. God our Father, we thank you once again for this wonderful day. We thank you, oh God, for all of our people being here today.
Yes.
We thank you for, first of all, for forgiving each of us of our sins today.
Yes.
And Father, we pray for kindred hearts, kindred minds, kindred spirits, And, oh God, if need be, guide our hearts and our minds, and especially our tongues.
Yes.
God, we pray for the peace not only in our communities, but God, we pray for the peace of this meeting tonight.
Yes.
We pray, oh God, that we'll be able to see eye to eye. We'll be able to, oh God, speak to each other in love and kindness and peace.
Yes.
And we pray, oh God, that you bless the leaders that you put over this city.
Yes.
God, we know the job that they have is not always a pleasant job.
Right.
But regardless, oh God, they've got to do what's right and fitting in their mind.
Yes.
We pray, oh God, for the blessing of our city. Oh God, we need love and kindness throughout Booneville.
Yes.
And we pray, oh God, as we go through this meeting tonight,
Yes.
that even when we leave, that we leave with peace on our hearts and
Yes.
on our minds.
Yes.
Thank you for all of the neighborhoods that are represented here tonight.
Yes.
In the name of Jesus, we pray.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Brother Goodine. I've asked Ricky Rowland to lead us in our pledge. Brother Ricky?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can be seated if you got a seat. So at this time, at 4:45 today, I issued a veto of the appointment of the school board member. So at this time, if the alderman want to add item to the agenda to override the veto, this is the appropriate time.
Madam Clerk, you need to read into the minutes the date and the time the veto was received by you. 22nd.
Today, on February 21st, 2023, the veto was received at 4:50 p.m.
Veto received.
Any motions?
You want to add it to the agenda?
For a revote.
No, if you're considering overriding the veto, it has to be by a vote of 4-1, and you have to add it to the agenda because it's not an agenda item.
Motion.
Tara, motion, second. You'll have a second.
Second, add it to the agenda.
Jeff? All in favor of adding to the agenda to override the mayor's veto?
I'm not for overriding your veto.
I understand, but you seconded to add it.
Add it to the agenda.
Okay. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we have a very short consent, so maybe y'all don't have to read long, but I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. And if there's questions, we can do that after a motion and a second.
Motion.
Lavelle?
Second.
Second by Jill. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Mr. Virgil, come on in, sir. The floor is yours.
I'm doing what my wife told me to do.
Understand.
Jack is getting married in October, Jack Simpson. I think most people here know Jack. But anyway, we rented the hardware, and we really want to see about getting that street blocked off between South Main and, West Market,
Yes.
just for that night.
Well, it would
It's
be
June the
between
10th.
Church Street and Market Street, yes.
Right, yeah. But
Motion to close Church Street and Market Street in front of the hardware.
Motion. Second.
Carolyn and Jimmy. Discussion?
Is there gonna be, I know it says from after 5:30, is there a certain time that you need that to extend to?
I ain't gonna sit here and tell a lie. I don't know what time
Okay.
it's gonna end, but
Okay.
it's gonna be several people there.
Okay.
So, but
That might be something you just kind of communicate with them about
Yeah, and let us
when
know.
you figure it out,
Okay.
just so we'll be,
right.
you'll have the appropriate people there to help you out.
When we get close, we'll know
Okay.
a lot more about it.
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Virgil.
Thank y'all.
Good to see you.
All right, good luck to everybody.
Next on the agenda is Miles Copeland. Mr. Copeland, floor is yours.
I'm gonna introduce him.
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
To the board and to the attorney and to the mayor, we had a vote 2 weeks ago on the school board, and I thought it was a bad situation, what the board done. We had 4 African American to put in for the school board position, and all of them were qualified. And we had 1 white to put in for it, and we were replacing them with an African American. So they voted to put Miss Pat Green on the board, which I love her to death. She's a good person, but that's not the issue here today. The issue is doing what's right. I represent a Ward 2, and we have nobody in our ward on the school board or on the board, period. And I'm just like Moses. I'm gonna stand with my peoples, and that's the way it's gonna be. And we want to hear some. We want to get something done tonight about it. And it's not fair. We have children in the school, and we want to be represented. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And that's just all I got to say. And right now, I'm gonna turn it over to Brother Miles Copeland. He's a brother in Christ of mine, and he's a true friend of mine. And he got several years' experience in this, and he's a winner.
Mr. Copeland, thank you, Jeff, for the introduction.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'd
Yes,
like
sir,
to say
Mr.
hello
Copeland.
to the board.
I'm sorry, but according to board policy, you have 5 minutes.
Okay, that's plenty of time. I can say a lot in 5 minutes. But I hope that I can say a few words that would cause this board to reconsider the action they've taken. And the action that they've taken so far is to turn back the clock. Now, we know all about the days that white people rule everything. You know, I still remember, I'm old enough to go back, probably perhaps longer than some of these that are sitting around this table. But nevertheless, I hope they will reconsider, because if they don't, it'll cause some disruption, and it'll be the children that will pay the price. And we don't want our children, black or white, to be in a disruptive situation. They can't learn. Now, we know that the state of Mississippi does not fully fund our school system. We have to have federal dollars to do so. And we don't want to cause any disruption with the flow of federal money that's coming into the Booneville school system.
Yes, sir.
And so that's why I'm here tonight. Not to, I'm a member of the NAACP. I served 22 years in Carvin as president. But I'm not here for the NAACP. I'm here because I was born right here in Booneville. This is my home. Booneville, Prentice County is my home. And so I came out of a pretty large family. My mother worked for some of the movers and shakers in this town. She used to cook for Jim Cunningham and many others that she worked in behalf of. So this is home to me. All right? I'm not here because I'm gonna threaten you with a big lawsuit. That's not my intention. But I'm here to try to make an appeal to your better judgment. Now, we know we just can't turn the clock back. We can't turn it back. I don't care whether we like what's happening or not, we just can't turn back the clock. Whatever happened has happened. So we've had blacks on the school board. So I just can't believe that just the white people of Booneville would object to having another black person on the school board. You know, I think if you took a poll of just the white people, I think that the whites in this community will reject that. They understand what time we live in now. And we can't change it. It's gonna go on and on. A lot of things we don't like happen every day. But nevertheless, we have to learn to live with it. So we definitely need a black person on the school board. We can't turn the clock back. And I think the action that the board took would be harmful to the children of Booneville, the second school district. Now, I could tell you a lot of fights we had in Corinth, over school policy. And so we got 2 black people out of a 5-member board. We got 2 blacks on the board in Corinth. 2. So, you know, I can tell you, I can go back years and tell you all the struggle we had to get those 2 black people on there. But everything worked fine. Corinth has really an A1 school district. We got a good superintendent, good board, everything worked harmoniously. No problems. The problem is there, most of the time a problem arises in Corinth, it's solved in the superintendent's office. We don't have to go through the board for anything. The superintendent take care of it. So I hope that, and I met your superintendent, by the way, he and I serve on the board together. And, but nevertheless, we just don't need an all-white school board. We don't need it in 2023. Now, it might have been all right in 1953, but it's not all right today. Yeah, 1953 is a different story. But in 2023, we just can't have that. Just can't have it. Black people pay taxes just like white folks. And all your salaries are paid by black and white people. That's right. All your salaries are paid by black and white, paying their taxes. So let's not forget that. And I hope you'll do what's right. You know, I really do. You know, on Sunday, we sing, "Oh, how I love Jesus." And Monday, we forget what we sing about. You know?
Amen.
That's right. So we need to be the same person every day. If we love Jesus on Sunday, we ought to love him on Monday. It shouldn't be any different. So I urge you, board members, I'm talking to everybody that has a vote. I know the mayor can't vote unless it's a tie. Well, but anyway, I thank you for the privilege of coming. And I'm gonna be praying for all of you, that you'll do what's right.
Thank you for coming.
And I do want to clarify, I know I said at the beginning of the meeting that I issued the veto. Whenever I was running for office 6 years ago, I sat down in a good man's living room, Ricky Rowan, and he talked to me and he said, "Chris," he said, "you're a long friend of mine." And he said, "But you cannot and have not walked in my shoes because you're not a black man." And he started to share with me different things that happened. And that's the reason I issued a veto. Miss Pat is very qualified. I'm not knocking Miss Pat, period. But there's others that are qualified, and it's my opinion and my belief that we should have a minority sitting on the school board. And that's the reason for my veto. Moving forward, we have the yearly bids. Ms. Sharon, do you have those ready? The first one is for hot mix asphalt. Yes, for everybody here, when something is added to the agenda, it is always at the end of the board meeting. So it will take us a few minutes to get through our regular business before we bring up the possibility of overriding my veto. So I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to sit and listen to all the business stuff. Hot mix asphalt, bid 1A. Yes. APAC of Mississippi, bid 1A. There you go. This is the only bid. And they do have their insurance liability forms. All right. They included on here cold mix, but that's not what we're bidding. We're bidding hot mix. Hot mix. Hot mix is $125. In all different categories, they have material 9.5 millimeter, 12.5, but all of them are $125.
125.
It just says quantity one.
Where's our road people?
David, you here? David Moore? Street Department, Kenny? Is this per ton, $125?
David done all that.
Give me just a second to read it and see if I can find it. Usually it is per ton, and that is an actual price. That's a reasonable price per ton. So we will, let's just say this, motion to approve this bid as per ton with Apex confirming this, that it is 1 ton.
Second.
Is that okay, Daniel? All right, I got Jeff and Jimmy, all in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is, hot mix pay laid in place. This is a 100-ton minimum, and this is a 6 months bid. And like I say, this is laid in place. The other bid was if we went and just got hot mix. How many bids we got for that? 3. We have 3 bids for that. APAC is the first bid. Hot mix, asphalt laid in place per ton with a 100-ton minimum, no patchwork, 300 per ton. That's APAC. Next. WG Construction.
Yeah, sure.
And they did have their insurance forms, by the way. WG did not provide their insurance. Their bid is $185 per ton, and we will do this pending approval of insurance whenever we get to that point. The third is from Gregory Companies, LLC, Murphy Paving. Hot mix, 100-ton, minimum 6-month bid, $229. Motion to approve WG at $185, pending they provide us with their insurance.
Second.
Jeff and Tara, all in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is 3-inch rock. So we got to move that over to the other. No bids. Next is number 7, certified wash rock. No bids. Number 57, rock. No bids. The ones I'm saying no bids on, we're gonna move to the next motion in just a minute, so remember that, please. Next is Crusher Run, 3A, no bids.
No bid.
Rip Route, 100 and 200 pound rock. No bids. Alright, she said in 15A is the next one, so no bids on Rip Route, no bids on Surge, no bid on clay gravel. Wait a minute.
We have this one, who has wrote all these on there, and I don't know how they.
Okay, because I don't have 15A down. 15A was on the one to rebid. Did they come in too late? Give us 1 minute. 15 and 16. Yeah, 17 field there, it's on there. We did get bids on 15A and 16A, but they came in too late. So we will rebid those two items also. They're already on the rebid list. So no surge, no clay gravel, and we do have a bid on field dirt. 17A, yes. Jumper Oil Company, Ricky, no, it's not Ricky, it's not Jumper Oil Company, it's Ricky Thompson bid. He just put it in their envelope. What's this one? They're supposed to be in individual envelopes, because we can't accept those.
I just wanted you to see that that's
For all the public's knowledge, somebody sent in all the bids in one. We can't accept it like that. All the bids are supposed to be in separate envelopes with a name and the bid item on it, so we'll have to reject that one. Now, field dirt from Ricky Thompson, the only bid is $60 per load of dirt for the year of 2023, Ricky Thompson. Motion to approve Ricky Thompson, $60. Sherilyn?
Second.
Second, Jimmy, all in favor? Pose same sign. Motion carried. Now, for the ones I called out that we didn't receive a bid on, and the others that we didn't receive a bid on, spot sealing, DBST, culverts, gasoline, oil changes and all that, motion to rebid all of these items that we didn't receive a bid on.
motion.
Second.
Lavelle and Tara, all in favor? All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Planning board, you wanna do it? You wanna do it? It's two positions,
Are
right?
we not doing a synthetic oil?
I'm sorry?
Synthetic oil.
We didn't get any
No
bids.
bids.
Yeah, that's all rebid. The next item on the agenda is to post for two positions on the planning board. They roll off on a routine basis, so we need to post for two positions on the planning board.
Motion.
Second.
Jimmy and Tara, all in favor?
Can we discuss?
Yes, I'm sorry, discussion.
With, I think with everything, we kinda has opened our eyes. Is it, even with the planning board, as we would do with school board, as park board, should we do a certain seat? I mean, would that be better to everybody from each ward be able to
Oh, I
make
see
a
what you're saying.
recommendation? Or how can we change this moving forward in our process?
Well, one thing Daniel and I have discussed is, I know this is heading towards the school board appointment. And here's the dilemma. Now, with planning board, yes, y'all can move forward with that because it has no bearing on the school. So planning board, if y'all choose to do it by ward, and each alderman has a position that they recommend for that ward, and alderman at large all over the city, that's no issue. So that one we can do. Now, concerning the school board, first of all, the school board members have to live in the old city. They cannot live in the annex area. And we're gonna have to give Justice Department approval, and here's why. I'm gonna use you, Tara, for an example. Most of your ward is in the annexed area. All of Jeff's ward is in the old school district, just about all of it. So therefore, Jeff has more people to choose from for the school board than you do, and that's not balanced. So if you see my point,
This ain't balanced what just happened last week.
well, I agree. But I know we're leading up to it. First thing, it's a good idea. I'm not knocking it. But we will have to get Justice Department approval to do it that way for school board. Now, this is for planning board, so therefore, school board has no issue in this. So if y'all choose to do it from now on with this one, we can do that.
You would have to pass a policy,
Yes.
and that policy has to be followed.
I think
forward.
we need that to.
Okay.
I've been
So-
trying to get it for 16 years.
Motion to table till we have the policy ready.
Motion.
Okay?
Second.
All right, rescind the other motion from Jimmy and Tara to post. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I had Lavelle to table until we have the policy ready. Who seconded? Tara? And that is a good idea for this especially.
But what we're gonna go to is start like, I've been saying, is to point them out of, everybody get a point out of their ward.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to
On
get
your-
that.
On your advisory board, you can do
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the school board, we gotta set a
The
policy.
school board is messed up because, no, not even a policy, but we gotta get U.S. Department of Justice approval because we gotta follow the 1965 Voting Rights Act. The problem is, and I went back and done some research on this, and I finally figured out why they never agreed to, the school, district expanding with the city lines way back when they first did the annexation. And that's because if 15% of the students come from the area that was annexed, you must have an elected board for 2 positions. So we don't have elected board for 2 positions because we didn't expand the school lines when the city lines expand. So Department of Justice would control us, school board, everybody, once they give an opinion as to what we can do.
We gonna be on top of that too, on these boundaries, these school boundary lines, and get it straightened out, cause it's not getting straightened out around here right now, so I'm gonna get on top of it and get to working on and get it straightened out. And you can let everybody know that we on top of that.
Yes.
Cause it's not fair for these kids to have to be paying, and they living right here next door, they can knock on the city hall door.
Well, the law is very simple and easy. I've never understood why there was a disagreement. It says you shall go to the school district where you live.
Mhm.
But we don't expand the school district lines with the new city lines, it causes a problem.
Yes.
We'll be on top of that too.
But this has to do with the planning board. So with everything else being said, this is an advisory position only. So we will see who is coming off. How many's on it, 5?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, there are 5 on it, 2 are rolling off. The 3 that are already on there have to be grandfathered in, we just can't replace those. So the 3 that are on there already will be grandfathered in. Can I include this in the well, we
Absolutely.
tabled it. So for discussion, when we go back to it, the 3 that are still on there will be grandfathered in, and the 2 that are rolling off will be replaced with somebody from their wards. And we will have to go with Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at large. So Ward 1 and 2, you need to be looking for somebody for the planning board from your wards. If we follow through with this, I know we table it, but if it's followed through, then it's 1 and 2 this time. Then it'll be 3 and 4, and then at large. Large first, or large last? Did I do
Large
that?
last.
Okay, large last. And Danny Inman and Ronnie Walden are the 2 that are rolling off, for y'all's information.
What was the second name?
Ronnie Walden. Got that? With this, all right, all in favor of tabling?
Wow.
Motion carried to table. We will bring that back up at the next board meeting. Okay,
Golden, I think you said.
did you get that? Pass that down, Jimmy, if you didn't get it.
Like I-
All right, go ahead with your next items.
Okay, I just need approval for the resolution for assessment of cost and penalties for the property cleanup of PPIN number 241.
The cost was $2,200, the penalties are $330 for a total of $2,530.
Motion,
Motion.
Lavelle? Second?
Second.
Jimmy? Discussion? All in favor?
Oh.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next.
Okay, to approve the resolution for assessment of cost and penalties for the property cleanup of PPIN number 2831.
Cost on that was $3,500, penalties was $525 for a total of $4,025.
Motion?
Motion.
Jeff?
Second.
Jimmy? And for the public's information, this is properties that we cleaned up, houses that were burnt or dilapidated or abandoned, we cleaned them up. And this amount that we're calling out will be added to their taxes. And if they don't pay it, then it'll be sold and somebody can get a tax deed on the property. Next.
Okay, next, I just need approval for us to fill out the paperwork and sign an MOU to receive the funds to be dispersed by House Bill 1353. This is to purchase equipment for the fire department.
Motion.
Yes, and it is 25,000.
Yes, Jeff and Carolyn, and for discussion, this is 25,000. It is a special bill that was passed in Jackson, House Bill 1353. We can spend 25,000 for equipment. We will have to open an account, put that on your next agenda to make a motion to open an account. This gotta be put in a separate account, does it not? I'm sorry, it's the next item. Go ahead, I jumped the gun. Next is a motion to open an account. That's what I was just telling Sharon to put on the next agenda. But a motion to open a special checking account for the money of House Bill 1353.
Motion.
Second.
Judy and Tara. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We've got to approve us signing it. Can we just add that or do it next agenda?
You can add it, you can add it to the motion.
All right, because we're opening a new account, I'd like to ask for a motion to allow myself, Sharon, and Lavelle to sign the documents to be sign holders or signatures on the signature card at the bank for said account.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, Pitney Bowes. You got an amount and everything?
Yes, it is in there.
It's $69 and some change per month.
Yeah. This is just the contract that we have to do our postage here at City Hall. They do have state contract, and I just need approval on the contract, and I have had Daniel look over the contract for us.
Second.
Jimmy and Carolyn to approve Pitney Bowes contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, Sharon. You can spend some money.
Okay, next I need approval, the construction draw from line number 271340 at Farmers and Merchants Bank. This is just a payment to Roberts Builders, who is working on the police department.
And
It's
this
in
is,
the-
go ahead.
It's in the amount of $383,639.45.
And this is the third draw on the construction account. And I meant to point out on our consent agenda, the dollar figure that was on there was for interest of money that's already been drawn off. If y'all seen that, that's what that was. So as we take this money out to pay for the construction, then we have to start paying for interest. But we have went and verified that the construction has been done and the equipment or supplies that we're paying for is sitting there. So the bank looks at this also. They won't issue and cut the check until they verify that all this is is on the up and up.
Do they go out there and look at it?
Yes, they have to.
That's an inspector.
Motion,
Motion.
second,
Second.
Carol? And the construction is coming along pretty good. You can actually see the offices now. You can see where the courtroom's gonna be laid out. Sheet rock is on one side of the walls because they still gotta put the electrical in. So once all the electrical and everything is put in, the other side of the sheet rock will go up and you'll start really seeing the offices and everything that we're doing. So construction is moving along pretty rapid. It looks very good. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Ms. Lori has asked that the next item be tabled to the next agenda.
Motion.
Jeff and Jimmy? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is tabled. Chief Ramey?
One thing I've got is ask y'all to approve Derek Leatherwood as a full-time animal control officer at $14 an hour, effective immediately.
Second.
I got two at the same time. I'm gonna call Lavelle and Carolyn. Is that all right, Tara?
Mm-hmm.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Charles? Charles is our building inspector and code enforcement officer, and this is a continuation of a recessed public hearing on the rezoning of PIN number 1400 from A1 agricultural to C3 highway commercial. And we have the sign-in sheet. So at this time, Ms. Lynn Ashmore, the floor is yours, please. Yes, and let me remind everybody, you have 5 minutes, And please come to the podium, because last time we had people online that couldn't hear the discussion. So please come to the podium so everybody can hear. Ms.
Okay.
Lynn?
All right, this is concerning the rezoning because it's gonna be so close to our home, you know, what's being proposed. And of course, it's a big concern for us and our community as well. So I had written a letter, and Mayor, I have one for you as well. I didn't think about Mr. Tucker. This is a letter to describe to you how my husband Larry and I feel about, and it was told to us that it was the BAM truck stop. So that's why I have that in there. If it's something else, I'm sorry. And possible motel that's coming to Booneville. We're not against progress for Booneville, but not at the expense of people and their homes. Homes that we've raised our children in, and homes that now our children and our grandchildren, they come to see us. You know, this is where we're at. The first time I drove up my driveway, this is home. This is home to me. It's also the home of our 35-year-old autistic daughter, that if change, it affects her dramatically. So I'm not sure, you know, that we can put up with all the noise, and you know as well as I do, there'll be drug trafficking, there's no need pretending that it won't be there, because it will be. I'm sorry. We're not gonna be out there at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning monitoring to see what's going on. Our home's located on Dogwood Stand Road, so we're not that far from it. And we're gonna be able to hear all this noise. And there's a lot of people, y'all, that live down through there and live down Dogwood Stand Road and Dogwood Estates, especially Kathy and Tommy Davis. This is going back up 160 feet plus from their home. Can you imagine that every night? Can you imagine the truck stop noises and everything going on? This has been the best little neighborhood in the whole world, and we'd love to keep it that way. And we're not against progress, y'all. We want the progress for Booneville. We just don't want it in our home. We don't want it up against our homes. And there should be a better location than this particular one. In our world today, we all know that caring about others is quickly diminishing. You know that. We see it every day. God says for us to love our neighbors as ourselves. So there has to be another location that would be better suited for the businesses, where people's lives and homes won't be broken up. We'll still be able to serve in this community. And I've taught for almost 20 years in the Booneville school system, so I've served in my community. I've loved the children in my community, and I still do. And I'm asking you, please, please, do not put that there. Don't zone it where they're putting things that they want to there. Please. I'm just asking you. It's one neighbor to the other one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. You still got 2 minutes. Next, I've known Ms. Lynn for a while, so I'm just aggravating her. Mr. Evans? Sir, what's your first name?
Clay.
Clay?
I'm Clay Evans. I'm the owner of Mastercraft Builders here in Booneville. Coming up on 3 years now. I'm from Lee County, but I fit right in here in Booneville so far. I haven't had any trouble. So you guys welcomed me with open arms, and I want to say I appreciate that. So first, I'd like to apologize. We've had a couple meetings. There have been a couple meetings here that I have not been able to attend because of other family items, one of being out of town. But I think kind of where we are, and I'm speaking on behalf of Mr. Sam Musa, who is the owner of the property that owns several of these properties that we have built for. We submitted plans for this truck stop without really knowing that the zoning was not zoned properly. And so typically you would go for rezoning before we would give you the plans. So therefore you wouldn't even know what we were building. Nobody here would know what we were building. We would just be asking for a rezoning. But because we submitted those plans early, now everybody knows it's a truck stop. And it's not really even a truck stop, it's really a travel center. It doesn't have showers in it. This is not a place where you're gonna have 50 trucks parked and there's gonna be any trouble or any drug dealing. This is more along the lines of a large 76 gas station is what it's for. The highway out here the truck traffic is not really optimum for a truck stop. And so what you guys have in mind is this is gonna be massive truck traffic and turning in and out and being impediment on your day-to-day life, I think is incorrect. I mean, I'm not casting stones, but we just built one of these. It's a Shell station down in Brewer, Mississippi, which is where I live. And it backs up to one of my best friend's property. Matter of fact, it's the guy that built my house. And he had the exact same concerns that everybody in this room has. And to the point where he wanted me to build a fence. And I said, man, let's just get it built, see what happens. He's in there every day. I mean, the food is amazing. It's clean. The bathrooms are the best you've ever seen. The outside looks amazing. If I don't put enough lighting out there, he makes me add 10 extra lights on my dime. I can tell you that. We've done that. But it will be well lit, very secure. They have camera systems both indoor and out, all the way around the property. I do think we've got a 165-foot buffer or whatever between. That is way more than the setbacks that are typically required. We're usually 20 foot from the back of the property. I'll tell you, every other community we've built this in, Tupelo being one, we've got 3 going there now. Man, they can't give us a permit quick enough. I mean, because they know what kind of quality that these guys are going to build. They know what kind of quality we're going to build for them. These buildings are not cheap metal building country stores. These buildings are block buildings. They are brick veneered. They have a TPO roof on them. They have ceramic tile floors, ceramic tile walls. The bathroom are floor to ceiling ceramic tile. I mean, these things are not, I mean, you're looking at a $5 million investment from these guys from the time he buys the property, builds the store, paves the parking lot. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, it would be a shame for you not to allow this to be built in your community. And furthermore, if you don't allow it to be built, then basically I guess you're saying that's never going to be zoned for commercial, so it's going to just sit there and go to waste and never be anything. And the fact that we're saying that this is not a prime location for a store, these guys beg to differ, and this is their business. This is what they do all day, every day. So I'm asking on behalf of their team that you approve this. A couple more things really quick. They've asked, we've had several questions about property lines, that type of thing, on whether or not there's a sliver of land and the drawings are not correct. All of that is wrong. We have Mr. Tommy Dabbs here. He surveyed it yesterday. We can tell you that the property line that's been discussed before, that sliver belongs to this man right here. It does not belong to anybody else. We shot that in. So that drive that comes out onto the MDOT right away is correct as drawn. So that was the main consideration that we want to clear up.
Yes, and I was gonna point that out before we got done, that there is a dispute about the property along, the side of, Dogwood Stand. Yeah, that property is in dispute as to who owns it. That's for them to figure out and settle. They say it's theirs. Where's Mr. Davis? He believes it's his. That's between 2 private entities that has nothing to do with the city, so they have to work that out.
And so we're not really here asking for a gas station. We're here asking for a rezoning from agriculture to commercial.
All right. Thank
Hey,
you,
sir,
sir.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can we ask questions?
Daniel suggested we hold all questions
I
to
was
the
gonna
end.
ask too.
Please write your questions
Well, I
down.
I'll be here anytime you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And we're gonna open it up to questions to the alderman at the end.
Okay, that's good.
Next is Christina Roan. Christina?
I'll hold off on what I was saying. At the first meeting, like I said, I don't know them, but it was need and what has changed in the community are a need. There are 6 gas stations within a 5 mile, or convenience stores, however you wanna put it. 4 out of them have truck parking in them, so that need is met. So besides just the location and them wanting to make their money, which is their right, off of that location, I don't see how that would help the community, enrich the community, because the people that stop there, they're not coming into Booneville, they're not coming into town, they're not even driving any part into Booneville. They're gonna stop at this convenience store, as nice as it will be, I'm sure it'll be gorgeous, and then they're gonna hit that highway and they're just gone. However, that will take away from the other community truck stops or convenience stores that are further into town, and it will impact their lives and the people that work there. So I would just like to know how this is supposed to help the community, if that's part of it, to rezone or to put anything there, not just particularly theirs, how that is supposed to enrich and help the community. That's my question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Mr. Goo, Jim.
Okay. Well, like the other speakers, I don't see this as a benefit to the community at all, nor to the residents. That said, I've kind of been looking over what the zoning request consists of. You got just about 22 acres on both sides of US 45 requested to be zoned C3 highway commercial, which essentially is a blank check. Anything can go into highway commercial. It is limited to nothing. Now this project, as it shows on the drawings, contains 23 parking bays for semi-trucks on the south side of the property that they're planning to use. They're only planning to use about 5 acres of the 20 acres that they've requested. So what's going to happen on the remaining 17? You've opened the door. You can't do that. There's no plan for the rest of that acreage. That is a terrible mistake on the part of this board if they approve this request. The final thing I want to mention is, in looking at the drawings, one of the things I did not see was a place for the gasoline tanks and the diesel fuel tanks. No, not shown on the drawings at all. Best I understand, the EPA takes a pretty dim view on buried tanks. So that's not shown either. So anyway, this is something that really Booneville doesn't need, the neighborhood doesn't need, and I request that you do not approve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Good. Next, Mr. Dabbs. Tommy?
Thank you for coming here tonight. My name is Tommy Dabbs. I've got an engineering company in Tupelo. I'm surveying. Sir.
Can you speak up a little?
Can you speak up a little bit?
I own an engineering and surveying company in Tupelo, and I've been doing these jobs for Mr. Musa now, several of them. And to be quite honest with you, this is the first one that anybody's had any complaints about actually having. Because if you've ever seen one of these, they're really, really nice. They're not what you think of as a truck stop. They're more of a convenience store and a travel center people stop. Well, the first one we did was in Verona, Mississippi, and the town kept calling me every few days, worried that they was going to back out because they hadn't done anything. But now it's every time you go by, it's covered up. So I would love to dispel any thoughts about something being bad, evil, drugs, and all that stuff. If that's the case, then you got a problem now here. So at any rate, I have been looking into the property ownership. I think there were some concerns about strip zones by so-and-so, but I assure you there's no encumbrances on Mr. Moose's property because it all goes to the western boundary of that street, that road. And besides, the entrance we're going to use on that street is going through the highway right away. So that's not affecting anybody's usable property. So it's just, if you have any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to try to work them out, send you stuff. If there's anything on the plans we don't have now, I assure you there will be. Any concerns you have, all you gotta do is just tell us. We'll get it on there. I'll welcome anybody to come down any time and look at one of these projects. You change your mind about it, because it's really it's not a bad thing in my opinion. I wouldn't mind having one near me. And besides, you really can't see it from where you are. Because of the tree buffer, and 165 feet is a long way. So we can do anything it would take to get your approval on that. So at any rate, I just wanted to be here for Mr. Moose to explain what we're doing. It's a quality product. We don't have any property issues, and like Clay said, if it's not rezoned for highway commercial, I mean, I don't think he must ever plant a crop out there. be agricultural, so. At any rate, I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dabbs.
Yes, sir.
Next, Ms. Jane Gillespie.
I live in Dogwood Estates, which is near where this project is being considered. And my main concern is noise. You know, like all of you, I want to enjoy my home. I want to enjoy my yard. I don't want to hear trucks going in and out all the time. I'm sure that this is a nice looking facility, but there again, it is still, and like Jim Goose said, once it gets rezoned, it's open. You have no control. We have no control regardless of how we feel. And, as a taxpayer and living in Booneville all my life, I love Booneville, I really do, but this has really bothered me. So I'm asking you to vote against it. I don't think we need it. Like someone else mentioned, there's plenty of gas stations, quick stops in the Booneville area. And, if we do need another one, why put it in a residential area? We don't need it. My opinion. Thanks.
Thank you, Jane. Mr. Walker?
Well, I guess I'm gonna be the odd duck here because I'm gonna speak in behalf of being for it, not against it. There's been a couple of questions raised here tonight about what is it gonna do for the community. They're making a $5 million investment, and me as a business owner and invested a lot in this community right now, it's all about dollars and cents. If he's making a $5 million investment for every $1 million of sales that he goes through, it's not profit, $1 million in sales. That reverts into $70,000 to the state of Mississippi in sales tax. Our community, for you that don't know it, we draw 18% of that 7% that is collected. That means for every $1 million of sales that they had, sales tax alone kicks back $12,000 to the city for every million. That's something that you need to bear in mind about saying no to new business. I hear people saying we want growth, we want growth. Let me tell you something. We would love to have you on the east side of town. We would love to have you.
Please go there. Yeah.
We wish we could move that highway over where it would benefit you, but we can't. It's zoned agriculture right now. I know I'm different, but if I bought a piece of property that was zoned agriculture and I came to this board asking for a change in the zoning so that I could benefit what I do for business and benefit the community, and you turn me down, I'd put a hog farm on it. You think truck noise is something? Wait till you get the smell of that, because that's the reason I went to the service to stop feeding the hogs. Y'all have a blessed day.
Next, let me get everybody's attention. Mr. Breedlove, we've got to move on. Mr. Breedlove. Breedlove, have I got that right? What's that first, is it Miss Breedlove, I'm sorry. What's that first name?
Pam.
Pam. And please, hold the conversations down, please. Miss Pam, go ahead.
I live on Dogwood Stand Road. I built my home. I bought my land from Kathy and her husband. And that was agricultural land out there. That was one of the reasons that I bought out there. In fact, I used to live over by Gary on the east side of town. I've got some commercial property on the east side of town that I'd love to sell. And Gary, we've already got cows in our area.
Please, everybody, please address the board and not the crowd. Please
Okay.
go ahead, Ms. Pam.
But we've got farmers in our areas.
Yes, ma'am.
And this worries me. And we know that you're talking about revenue. I work for a company where everybody is looking for the revenue that they can to have to survive in today's world out there, because it hasn't gotten better. We're all facing tough times. And I would be the second house on the same side that would be affected. And behind my house is two fields, as I would call it. I don't know if it's 2 acres or not, but it's heavily wooded. We know that a lot of the crime that happens nowadays, when it happens, people are getting mad at each other. They don't control their temper. And they'd much rather, and businesses can't have that type of element that comes in. And I worry because I'm a senior citizen. I'm fixing to retire in a couple of weeks. And I feel safe out there now. But I'm not gonna feel that way. It worries me about our street. We've got a narrow street, and there's gonna be increased traffic coming up and down that street. And I know for a fact people fly up and down it now. And you have to get over to where somebody else that can come along, and if it's in the morning times before 7 o'clock in school time, now they're rolling. They're gonna come through there to get to wherever they need to go to as fast as they can. And I'm really against this because it worries me. I take care of a brother who cannot take care of himself anymore because he had a stroke back in 2019. And I need a safe area to live in. And I just wish the board would consider that. And again, if whatever it's zoned, once that zoning happens, our hands are tied.
Thank you, Ms. Powell.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Kathy? Two more after this one.
I'd like to thank all my neighbors and friends for the support that y'all have brought here. I really do appreciate it. At the end of the day, it's still a truck stop. You still have the pollution, you still have the noise, you still have the fear of whatever's coming through in the back of those trucks now. It's not the same day and time it used to be. You still have fentanyl coming through. Yeah, and all these things can happen anyway. And yes, progress is inevitable, I'm sure. But there's other places that could have been bought. There's other places that didn't have houses sitting around. It is going to affect the neighborhood, whether they're great homes, poor homes, like mine, a very small home, $1 million home. It's going to affect the people, and it's not about the money. Sometimes you've got to fix what you've got before you can go bigger. In my heart, I don't see how it's going to really help Booneville that much, because you've got, like has been touched on by so many people already, you've got empty stations, and you've got, they grow up, they look ugly. Are we going to have more of that? On the east side of town, it's tried so hard to grow. There's a lady who's put millions into a shopping center. What's going to happen over there? What's going to happen to this lady who had faith in our town? Faith that making something happen on the east side of town. Because I'm going to tell you, when you put this in, you're going to have more people bypassing you. And the people are going to use our road, and it is narrow. And we're going to have increased traffic, which is something that's a no-no. And if you try to look up things that benefit a small community, you're not going to find it. You're going to find organizations who help communities avoid problems. A stitch in time saves 9. Another factor that I think was brought up, we are not against progress. I've heard that. We've ushered in a restaurant over there. My husband did. We have seen change for years. We've never said a word because we never felt it was detrimental. And of course it's detrimental to us because we're backed up to it. So sure, but then my next thought was my neighbors and the fact that it will affect them, and to me that's more important than money, because money will come in time. that you can't ruin people's homes and the way they live and what they love and their neighbors and expect to come out winning in the end, because you won't. Yeah, you'll get money, but, you know, there's gonna be a lot more possibility of so many things. And there's another point that I may have misunderstood. I hope I did. They came yesterday and they surveyed. They surveyed those strips that y'all are speaking of that separates the road, and we bought that land. That is our land. And if someone wants to contest it, they're free to do so. But if if something happens and they get a hold of that strip of land, you're gonna have your big trucks backing up into that road. It's gonna be a mess. But I don't know where they came up with the idea that this is their property, because we paid our money, we have a deed, and it stands legally. So somebody who will do that, what else will they do? If they're willing to tell you that their land, that our land is their land, what are we really dealing with? And I don't mean that ugly, and I'm sorry. It's probably just a misunderstanding. I understand it could be a misunderstanding.
Ms. Davis.
But it's definitely.
Excuse Ms. Davis.
I'm sorry.
Up here, I'm sorry. I have to address the board.
I'm sorry. But, you know, like I said, I love our community too. I've never worked as much in this community as I have outside. And I wish I had given more to this community, because I think what I'm seeing happening has been a good thing. For, you know, I think things have come a long way. The town's looking good. But if you start sucking your business away to someone else, what's really gonna happen? And the lady on the east side of town, I don't even know her name, but I know I talked to her and she has spent a bunch. How many?
20 seconds.
Okay, yes, I'm done. But let me ask one question before I leave. Anybody here who wants a truck stop where it's gonna be, in my house and in my neighborhood, hold your hand up. Because I'm gonna tell you, you really don't want it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Mr. Whalen?
I'm gonna let, Mr. Vi talk first, and then I'll talk after him.
Well, we need to go ahead and stay on the list. Stay in order.
That's correct. I don't have much to say. I've only been here a couple of years. I'm a retired trauma surgeon. The mayor knows me well. I want to say that when I first came here, one of the things that interested me most was driving it up to Booneville. And there's a little bitty sign about this big under the sign that says Booneville. And it's a bed. It said bedroom community of Mississippi, which is nothing unusual. The bottom line is that every one of our children that comes to the Northeast, where I go to school now, has to drive somewhere close to 45 and 4 coming into town, either down my road on Dogwood Stand, which is barely wide enough for a truck, much less two, and coming through that intersection, your children are going to have to pass through a truck stop to get over here. Now, one of the things that also bothers me is the fact that my house sits southeast of where this place is going to be. The prevailing winds are from the northwest. Everything that blows in this direction is going to come straight to Booneville, straight over my house. So it's going to stink like diesel fuel, just like I grew up to in the Delta for the first 18 years of my life. I don't think that's reasonable under any circumstances. But in any case, as far as having a hog farm there, as long as the owner lives there, I think that'd be perfectly wonderful. Not to mention I have stock and cargo company, and I'd be happy to help butcher them. In any case, I will let Mr. Vi give the facts on this after this, or more facts on this, and let him speak a little bit to go a little bit further.
Thank you, Mr. Whalen. Judge?
You ready for me?
Mr. Vi?
Okay, well, it's gonna be hard to say something that hadn't already been said. But Mr. Evans, I believe, talked about a $5 million investment. Well, they haven't invested $5 million yet, I don't think. They bought the property and they've drawn some plans for a building, but they hadn't spent $5 million yet. Now, when you combine what I've spent, what Richard, who just talked, has spent, and what Jane and Johnny have spent, and what all my neighbors have spent, it's gonna far exceed $5 million. If y'all do not rezone that property, they've still owned the property and it still has value. They have not lost $5 million. But there is a good faith dispute, as I understand, as to who owns that little strip of land that right on the west side of Dogwood Stand Road. Tommy and Kathy Davis think they own it, and now the Booneville investors and Mr. Musa and his associates think they own it. That's an old-fashioned good garden variety landline suit that Daniel knows about. And I don't know who would prevail in that instance, but I assume that if the Booneville investors prevailed, they would put an outlet in Dogwood Stand Road. That was on the original plan. And we were here a week ago, that was off the plan. Now I understand it's back on the plan. But we just do not think that our neighborhood is a legitimate place for a truck stop. Now, these people, Booneville investors, they own across on the west side of Highway 45 too. You know, I think they have 6 acres or so over there on the west side. I don't think anybody would object for them putting their truck stop, gas station, whatever it is, over there. I think if the city rezoned the part of their property that's west of the highway to C3 highway commercial, I think that'd be acceptable to everybody. But we've heard that it's a gas station and a truck stop. It's not a truck stop, it's a gas station. But I looked at the plans, and Jim Goo apparently did too. I came down here this morning. I counted, there's 23 places to park trucks on that place. Now, obviously, they want to do business with trucks, or they wouldn't have drawn in 23 parking places for trucks. And they keep telling us how nice this store is going to be. Well, I know it's nice. That's great, but how nice they build their store is not the point here. We don't want a nice store or a not so nice store if it's a truck stop, you know? But bear in mind that they have not yet invested their $5 million yet. But me and my neighbors have invested far more than that. And somebody mentioned a hog lot. I think we'd all rather have a hog lot.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. All right, first of all, I want to clarify something that's been said. And originally, 2 weeks ago, we were told that the property that runs parallel to Dogwood Stand belonged to Mr. Davis. The people who bought it say it belongs to them. That is a property line dispute between 2 individuals, has nothing to do with the city. But the blueprints did have an entrance and an exit on Dogwood Stand. So if the investors prevail in this private lawsuit between them, they will be able to put an entrance and an exit on Dogwood Stand. So I just want to clarify that right now. That will be between the judge, between the investors and Mr. Davis and Miss Kathy, and whoever prevails. If Mr. Davis and them prevail, there won't be a drive over there. If the investors prevail, there'll be a drive over there. So I just want to clarify that it has nothing to do with the city. And at this point, I'm going to open it up for questions from Alderman Ward 1, Ms. Tara.
Yes, that was one of my questions, was the dispute over this entry, because I understand that there's gonna be, on the original plans.
So if you're familiar with that drive, where it turns off of Highway 4 and the road is wide, and then you can see a defined line where the county road goes on. MDOT bought that right away when they came through with the highway. Mr. Moose's property comes up to that widened spot, all the way up to it. So that's where the drive is, off of MDOT's property, off of the highway property, on through the right of way. And that's what's shown on the drawing. And that's why we had Mr. Tommy go survey it yesterday, to ensure that that was correct. based off of the deed. The deed that we have their deed, we have our deed, we have all the deeds, and we've gone through them. Their deed is from the northeast corner, 660 feet back is where their property line starts, and that is another 180 feet or so back past where this entrance is gonna be. So this entrance has nothing to do with their property, it's all on Sam Moose's property.
So what you're saying is that it's MDOT right away
It's-
where your entrance is
It
gonna
crosses
be.
MDOT right away, it's far before you get to the road.
And I'm sure if y'all got drawings, y'all already went through and got permission from MDOT?
We go through that after we get the permit.
Okay,
We send the permit to them the same time we send it to you.
okay.
But
Ms. Terry?
they move a little slower than you guys.
Is,
Ms. Terry?
is this something that is written in stone either way? Because when we thought that you didn't own the property, you moved the entrance to the highway. Is that something that you would consider to not
No,
have
you
an
have-
entrance?
So here's the thing, and this kinda goes back to what the gentleman over here said a minute ago. So a truck stop is somewhere where they stop, they overnight, they do full showers, they cook, they do, they spend the night. This is a travel center, they come through, they stop for their log books, so that, because they have to. They go in, they grab them some coffee, they sit out, read a book, and then they take off. Without that entrance coming onto that side road, the trucks can't get out. So when they come off the highway, all the traffic, there's a two-way split. They come in, they go out and back, whichever direction they're gonna go. But it has to have both entrances or the plan won't work.
Okay.
And MDOT won't allow two out on Highway 4.
Okay.
Ms. Terry, any other
I
questions?
do have another question. Have you considered a C2 community, commercial instead of just a C3? Has anybody looked at that?
Can you explain the difference in the two?
Charles, you may can help me out with that.
C3 allows basically everything, which includes scrapyard, junkyards, lumberyard supplies, everything. C2 is community commercial. It includes convenience stores, hotels, motels, things like that. I've got it all here, the zoning book.
Absolutely, I think we would all go for C2, no problem.
C3 allows basically anything like
Yeah.
that.
And they're certainly, I mean, I'm speaking on his behalf, obviously, but they don't want it, they want their business to be nice.
We don't want
And
nothing beside us.
What, if they want something beside them, it's gonna be a McDonald's or Burger King. They want something that's gonna draw.
Ms. Terry, any other
I
questions?
think all the other questions have been asked and have been said from my point of view.
Okay. Alderman Ward 2, Mr. Jeff?
Yes, sir. The last board meeting that we had, and we discussed it about the privacy fence that y'all had said that you'd be willing to put up. Would you be able to put that on in writing
Yes.
if this passed, that it'll be tall enough where the people won't be able to look at it and like Miss Davis in the doorway?
What we are willing to do across the back of the property line for that line is we're willing to put a 6-foot wooden privacy fence. And I believe, and I'm speaking on
That's fine.
Mr. Moose's behalf, and I know what he's gonna say, you told him you'd do it, now
No.
you gotta pay for it. But, I would suggest one step further than that, or I would plant Eleagnus along that back. They grow extremely fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and they'll get 30 foot tall and block out that, you wouldn't see, hear, nothing. And even plant those pretty, inexpensive. So if that, I mean, I think
That
we're
will help.
willing, like we're saying, this is a $5 million investment. To spend $3,000 or $4,000 on a fence, absolutely, they're willing to do that.
All right, that's
If you
what I
will,
want.
come on up to the podium so the people in the community can hear on the
Sure.
speaker. Jeff, any others?
That's it. I just want to know about the privacy fence.
Jimmy, Ward 3?
There was a question come up about the gas tanks, and the reason why that is important to me, I had property one time that I had a car wash on, there was a quick stop in front of it, and when I bought the car wash, the tanks were still buried on me, and we had a lot of issues. How will those gas tanks?
So the new tanks, the way Mr. Tommy designs the drawings, then there is a fuel supplier, which in this case is these.
Yes.
I believe he has 176 locations now across the state. We give him the drawings. He places the tanks shows us on the plans where the most effective. In other words, they'll bury the fuel and the diesel. The gas and the diesel tanks are below grade. They're like triple wall tanks, and they're tested monthly by the EPA. They come through all these tests, on a monthly. It's not like the old tanks that leaked and you had ground pollution and all that. That is not an issue anymore. They don't play that. But he will spot those tanks in the best location so that the fuel lines can serve both the gas island and the diesel island in one area. And those are all, again, covered in concrete. But they are below grade. There is no above ground tanks anymore.
On the street, we've been a lot of conversation about Dogwoods, that street there. Is it on the drawing, the new drawing now, that there will be a street that, coming out?
Yes.
Of the station?
Yes.
And go on Dogwood?
Yeah, it will just come out and go right back to 4 and out back to the.
And on that, if it is, will this street be widened out?
No, sir. At that location, it's already widened out to MDOT standards. So there is no plan to widen that street. It's actually overlaid. I went out yesterday to see Mr. Tommy Stakes, and that section, until you get to really, I would consider the county road or the Dogwood Road, is actually wider than, it's in pretty good shape.
Okay. I have one more question.
You're fine.
On this property dispute deal right now, how long would that take to get settled? I mean,
we've got their deed and our deed. I think it's pretty simple. I don't know what the legal process would be to.
Depends on if they have a dispute and they go to court. I mean, it could take 6, 9 months, 12 months.
I can tell you this: if we know if we know that we own the property and you rezone it, we're gonna start construction. I mean, we're not gonna stop and postpone this thing for 6 months while we fight over something we know we're right about.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, Alderman Ward 4. Alderman at large, Ms. Lavelle.
My biggest concern is about the Dogwood Stand Road.
Sure.
Because Mr. Judge and I'm sorry, I still call you Judge. I worked with him many years.
Sure.
That's my biggest concern is that road.
Right.
Is it a possibility, and maybe, the street department can help us out, but is it a possibility that we could, like, I don't know, if this passes no through truck sign, I don't want to damage this road.
Nobody's going right on that road, and we can certainly sign that off.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they're not gonna go out and go right. I mean,
We don't wanna take a chance on, we have trucks going downtown taking
No,
out
I understand,
poles.
and that's why I think. So I've heard about pollution. I've heard about noise. I've heard about the tanks underground. I've heard about a lot of that. So the trucks now are just going a quarter mile down the road.
Right.
They're going right by, right in, right out.
Right.
Same thing. So I don't think you're going to see a huge increase in noise. The ones that back in those spaces are going to back them in and just kill them. But yes, absolutely no right turn signage there. We can have that.
To guarantee these people that.
We can do left turn only. We do that, matter of fact, most of the time. And it will primarily be that truck traffic, that goes out on that road. And the reason why, and I know you've seen this, but so this entrance here is where they come off for the vehicle and the truck, comes in, he goes back to the diesel. The gas islands are out here on the front. The cars just go back out this way.
Right.
The trucks then go through, come out, and then go, back around. But we can certainly put signage. We can do that, and we'll write a letter that says we'll do the signage in the fence. I mean,
Both of those, I think, would be very important to these people.
and back to one other thing that they discussed a minute ago about the revenue that would generate for the city off of $1 million. Again, he's talking about $1 million revenue. These guys are gonna do $1 million.
Sales.
How often?
Maybe it's every 8 months.
Yeah. So they're gonna do a couple $1 million in sales a year, $3 million.
And you think a C2 community commercial would be fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, matter of fact, we just didn't.
You have to start the process over.
We have to start all over.
Okay.
But I can tell you, their intent is not to sell their. Matter of fact, after they put this on this piece of property, the value of the property next door is going through the roof. They're not going to sell it. Nobody's going to pay what that property would then be worth to put a sawmill or something. It just loses a piece of property. That's what you put out.
All righty, so at this time, all questions are done. I'd like to ask for a motion to rezone PPIN 1400 from A1 agricultural to C3 commercial. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Ms. Tara, do I have a second? Do I have a second to rezone?
Motion.
Jeff? Further discussion? I need y'all to be very clear on this because of the people here. All in favor?
He's calling for a vote.
Calling for a vote. All in favor of rezoning? I've got an aye, I've got an aye.
How many?
Unanimous, motion carried to rezone. Okay, moving forward, motion to get quotes on Adams Street Sewer Project. Motion to get quotes on Adams Street. Second?
Second.
Lavelle and Jeff, got a motion, Jeff?
It was me. Or somebody.
All in favor of getting,
Who was it?
quote?
And Jeff.
Me and you made the motion to rezone.
I got Lavelle and Jeff.
I got it now. I didn't hear what the Adams Street.
We made the motion to rezone.
Tara and Jeff for the rezoning. I got Lavelle and Jeff on Adams Street. All right, all in favor of getting quotes on Adams Street? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Because y'all didn't have the information prior to tonight, the gas and water individuals has asked for the next two items to be tabled until y'all can look at y'all's dollar figures that they put in y'all's boxes and stuff. So motion to charge the per foot service be tabled. Sarah and Jimmy, all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion tabled. Same item for the next one. Y'all can look it over all the numbers and we'll bring it up. Jeff? Jimmy? All in favor? Tabling? It's tabled. Next is what we discussed in our work session. Motion to approve $14 minimum for water and $14 minimum for sewer for residential customers with a 5/8 meter. Jeff, second? Do I have a second? Jimmy? Open for discussion.
Which one are we doing?
That was on the water issue.
Water issue.
Before we lose the money.
Gas and water office.
Is it the second one?
The very first one.
The first one.
Yeah, we use it to go first.
This is, the motion is, motion to approve a $14 minimum for water and a $14 minimum for sewer for residential customers with a 5/8 meter. That's the motion in the second. All in favor?
Is this something we can discuss?
Yes, yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're in
We
discussion.
got a motion.
Yeah, we got a motion, a second. Now we're into discussion.
Now we're in this discussion. Is, I wasn't here Thursday night because I was sick. And I tried to take notes and I do agree on, we have to move forward with an increase with the water.
Yeah, come on up, Lisa. Go ahead, Tara.
It had been discussed that we need to move up, and I do agree, with Jeff, and I've been trying to think about, you talked about your ward.
Yes.
All of our wards, I'm just talking, Jeff had said something specifically that's been ringing in my ear. People that live on budget or fixed income, how are we going to, I wanna balance it. And is this something that we need to do all at once, or is this something that we need to say, hey, $2 here, $2 again? How do we need to do this? Because, and this is my point. This is not something that we're gonna stop. Because you can say it from your chair.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have the funds, or we're not charging what we're supposed to, and we cannot get grants.
Yes.
Because we're not reaching numbers. We're not.
And to support the alderman in this decision is I went to a CDBG grant class, training class. The first thing they said that was out of their mouths is if your water system is not charging enough to the customer, to maintain the system and set money aside for future repairs and replacement of worn out parts, you will not get a grant. The average across our state and our area is around $23 minimum for water. We're at $9.75. We're half of what all the other water associations around here are charging. There's no way in the world when we apply for any grants that we're gonna get them. First thing they're gonna do is they're gonna kick us out. They're gonna say, I want a rate survey, and when the rate survey comes back, we're way below. And let me point out also that this is the same thing, not all, but this is part of what Jackson's problem was. They were not charging enough to their clientele, their citizens, to maintain their system. Now, yeah, they had some other issues also, but this one was one of the points that was pointed out by the federal government. They were not charging enough to the citizen to maintain the system. And I've used this example, and it's crazy, but if I can afford a Ferrari and I can't put gas and insurance in it, why should I have it? So that's the problem we have right now, is we've got a water system and a sewer system that we have to charge enough to maintain that system. If we don't, we're going backwards. One of the things that's happened this year, everybody knows prices of everything's went up. Paul and Oscar can attest for this. Well, we were paying $2 for a piece of one pipe, PVC pipe. We're paying $6 now. The chlorine that has to go in the treatment plant to treat the water before it goes back in the sewer system has tripled in price. The city of Booneville is not a business where we can sell more widgets or whatever else, and we don't operate from a profit. If this was a private business, the owners can say, hey, I can cut my profit margin down and I can make less money and keep the business afloat. Well, we don't sell widgets. So the only thing we can do is, one, is increase taxes or increase fees, because we cannot control the price of pipe, chemicals that we have to maintain the system. So if we don't go up on the customer, we can't function. It's just a reality. It's a bad reality, but it is a reality. So I'm sorry I got off on a tangent. Go ahead, Tara.
Ms. Lisa, what do you, because you know the boat that we're in, and this is not going to be like, oh, we charge, we up it, and then game over, we don't raise it again for 20 years. This needs to be something that is spread out across our entire term and ever who sits in these seats after us. What is your opinion?
I agree with you. I don't believe we need to do it all at one time. I believe that a $2 increase and all customers, residential, sprinkler, commercial, everybody gets a $2 increase. Then we get a $2 increase, say, on the additional 1,000 cons, which would be from $565 to $765. That's everybody paying the same, okay? Because we didn't have it that way when we talked about it in the work session. Then in 6 months, go another $225, which would bring us up to the 14 that we're talking about. And I mean, you could approve that tonight, and we wouldn't even have to do it again. Just in November the 1st, the rates are changed, and we you see what I'm saying.
We had a meeting on it and work session on it, and we discussed it, what we were gonna do. Instead of just keep raising it up every 6 months, just go ahead and set it, it's still gonna be the same thing.
Daniel?
We're going up to 14, I'm speaking.
Yes,
We're
sir.
going up to $14 on sewer and water. Then why we just gonna go up now? The people already know we're going up. Then you're gonna come back and see. That's what aggravates people when you keep raising their bill. Just go on up with it now and be done with it. We the lowest it is in town. We lower in Ryan's. We lower than car rent, and we just going up to $14. But if we go up again next month, and 6 months go up again, people gonna get aggravated to see their bill keep going up and up.
Well,
Just
what
do
is
it
our
one
long-term
time
plan?
and do it.
It
Do
can't
it
be
at
a one
$14
time.
on sewer and 14 on water. We had a work session on and discussed, and that's what we had. That's what I thought we were going to do.
Well, I'm sorry, Jeff, I was talking over you a while ago. I apologize. Daniel was just informing me that we can't do a motion to do now and then. it'll have to come back up for another vote, so we can't
And
make a
it's just
motion.
a suggestion, we are not
Yeah.
trying to change what's going on, trying to help our citizens to not be hit with one big lick. That's all I'm saying, cause I wasn't here, so I wanted to be able to say what I thought about it, cause I didn't get to attend.
I agree with what Jeff had said in the previous meeting too, that there was, people that was on fixed incomes. And instead of hitting them all at one time, we moved this thing up on a scale. Let me ask you this, on commercial meters, what is the cost right now?
Okay, there's.
Hold on
different-
one second, that's next motion.
Yeah.
So that's the next item on the agenda. So let's stay on residential for now. Right now, we're on residential customers on 5/8 meters.
Okay.
The next item is commercial, I'm sorry, Jimmy.
I'm sorry.
I just wanna stay on point.
Either way we go, we need our citizens to know, we can bump it up $4 now and then revisit it next year. But we know, everybody at this table knows, and everybody in this room will have to know, this is not something that's gonna stop. And it's not, we can't.
Mm-mm.
We can't. It's not even a decision, you don't want things, our infrastructure to go down. You don't want asbestos in your water. You don't want things like that, and we have to have water. It's so important. So we can either, if this board chooses to move forward with the $4, I just want everybody to know, it can't stop there.
I think, and I don't have a vote, I'm just letting you know what I remember from the work session that was discussed, and it was asked of our professionals, where do we need to be with our money to get to where we qualify for grants?
Yeah.
And that was the figure that was thrown at us.
And that's the figure that was given.
Yeah.
If that's the
That's
figure
how
that,
that
if
was
that's the
right.
figure
Yeah.
that's given,
That's how that came up.
then that's where we need to be. Like I said, I was not here, and I just wanted some
Yes.
clarification.
Absolutely.
to
Glad
tell
you're
my
feeling
children.
better too, by the way.
One other thing, what we discussed was a minimum bill, okay? That is on a 5/8 meter, which is a small meter that almost everybody uses. We didn't discuss any other size meters, so the people that have 1 inch, 1.5 inch, the bigger meters, they're not going to see the same increase as the people with the smaller meters, which is on,
And that's gonna be on the next work session, is to go back and evaluate the others. You're talking businesses and
That'll
other
be
things for big
businesses.
meters.
well,
Yeah,
no,
it's
I'm
good,
still on
yeah.
residential.
But this is for the 5/8 residential. We'll discuss the other size meters later, because you're talking 2-inch meters, you're talking plumb rows and the big factories and all that, and we do need to discuss them too. This is just a starting point, for the 5/8 meters. Any other questions?
And we do want the public also to know that we don't want to have to continue doing bonds, to be able to make these improvements, cause there's gonna be lines, it's kinda like even roads and things like that, like the usage is just wear and tear. And we don't want to have to get to that point of continuously doing bonds. We wanna be able to have funds aside. And a lot of grants, they're gonna look at your bank account to see if you've got an X amount in your bank account. And you kinda have to turn that into them when you apply for a grant. So that's what we're needing to do.
I agree. Anything else, any other
Now, can I
comments?
ask a question?
Yes.
On the residential?
On commercial?
We're on residential.
We're
right
on
now.
residential.
That's what, okay. Back to residential.
Okay.
So the minimum bill for residential right now is around
$9.75.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is I live in the annexed area, and citizens need to know, I live in the annexed area, and my bill is from $20 to $25 a month, just on water, not counting the sewer, everything that goes with that.
That's correct.
So, what I'm looking at here is that we've got to do something to pay our bills, because our department has discussed the last meeting. They're going broke. I mean, they're going under. They're charging. It's just affordability, and we've got to do something to bring this up.
And what Mr. Hicks was saying is he is on a different water system than the city of Booneville. I'm not gonna name the system he's on, but he is not under the Booneville water system, so he is paying another water system other than Booneville. And what'd you say the minimum was that you're paying?
Between 20 and 25 a month.
And that's not Booneville. So he's already paying it, and he lives in the city, and double what the city of Booneville's paying. And the other small districts around are just about in line with what Jimmy's paying. Mr. Williams?
I know we're going up on the citizens, but we need to, when we go up on them and we collect this revenue, this extra revenue, we need to put it back and not be giving it away, buying everything that, because we got the money, just like Tara just said, we got things we're gonna have to fix. Something's gonna happen serious one day in this town, and we're not gonna be able to.
There's always an
to go
emergency.
to a
That's right.
to the gas and water and get it, or wherever. We gonna have to stop spending every dime we save, cause all our money going to employees. I mean, everything we take in is about going to employees to pay them every week, every 2 weeks, or every month. But what I'm saying is, when we take in this fund, we need to put it back and use it back out in the water system, instead of giving raises, buying trucks, when we can get by in this town with what we got. We are a small town. We not a big town like Tupelo and all that. We don't have to have this thing. We can get by with what we got. But we need to watch how we spend, like Tara was saying, on the money we finna be collecting. We need to put it back out in the public to show them what we doing with this money, and that's fixing water lines, sewer lines, like Mr. Moore was saying last week. We need to take that money and use it, instead of us having to go and get bonds to fix water lines, sewer line, pumps. So, I think that's a good thing we need to do, is put the money back.
Sorry,
And
Jim, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
If we put that money back, these grants that we're going after, now that we qualify,
That's right.
we always have to have money to match, or a certain amount of money to say, hey, we got this amount to go toward this project, and we never have that.
Yes, and if you'll remember, we discussed in 3 months, looking to see how much our increase was, and then what we mentioned was taking half and putting it into a construction account, because remember, our supplies and our expenses have went up. So half needs to go to cover our expenses that went up, and then we can do half. That was what was mentioned in the work session. So after about 2 or 3 months, so we can see what the revenue flow is, then we'll sit down and discuss. It was just threw out there as an idea, half and half, but we could do 60-40, 70-30, and put it in a construction account. So when we see what the numbers are, we can come back and revisit it and do exactly what you said and put it back into a savings for construction. But we're gonna bring that back up at a later time and see what our revenue is, so we can go forward. Any other questions? All right, so I have a motion and a second on the table to go to a minimum 14 and a minimum 14 on water and sewer for 5/8 residential customers. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, Jimmy, this is where the commercial comes in. Same conversation, but this is for commercial clients with a 5/8 meter. Could be a small business, not an industry. So, same conversation, but this is where you got onto commercial.
I was looking, so the commercial price is the same as
For a 5/8 meter.
okay.
That'd be sprinkler systems. and
Well,
all that.
it could be like a State Farm office, an office that doesn't use a lot of water. They have a standard meter of a 5/8 meter. That's the size of the pipe going in. So a lot of businesses don't require a lot of water, and they have a very small meter. So this is clients that have a 5/8 meter, 5/8 meter.
We need a motion.
Oh, that's right. Motion to approve 14 minimum water and sewer for commercial customers with a 5/8 meter.
Motion.
Second? Tara? I'm sorry. Now, further discussion. We've been on discussing a lot of stuff tonight. Same arguments with commercial it is with residential. Expenses went up. All in favor? Pose same sign. Motion carried. Next, in the work session, we discussed, as for everybody's knowledge, what the $14 gets you is 2,000 gallons of water. above 2,000 gallons, you're measured in what they call a con, and you're billed on 1,000 gallons for each increment of water. So the conversation in the work session was to go to a $10 per 1,000 above the minimum. Now, you get 2,000 for the $14. But like I've got a swimming pool and I put sprinklers out and stuff, I use more water than the average person. So then I'm gonna be paying more if we do this because I'm a large consumer of water. That's what this is about. But the basic citizen is 2,000 and under. So this is a motion to increase to $10 per 1,000 above the minimum for residential customers. Do you have a motion? No. All right. No motion on this item.
Can we discuss?
Well, we gotta have a motion and a second to
Motion.
discuss. Jimmy, second?
Second.
Tara. Now discussion. Go ahead.
This $10, how much is it now?
$5.65 right now.
$5.65. I would like to suggest that we cut that back and add $2 to the 10, instead of the $10.
To the 5, so
Yeah.
So it'd be $7.65 instead of 10?
$7.65.
$7.65.
I would make that motion.
Well, we've got a motion and a
Okay.
second. I'm gonna ask for a motion in a second, and if y'all want to change it, that needs to die for lack, and then we can make another motion for yours. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item? Or we can amend the motion, can we not?
Let's just make a motion, and we got it.
All right. All in favor for $10? Motion died. Now, Ms. Tara, what's your motion?
I'd like to make a motion to increase it by $2 for the residential customers that use above 2,000 gallons.
Yes,
Yeah.
per 1,000 above the minimum.
Yes. So every time they use another 1,000, it'll be $7.65.
Sprinkler systems and all
Yeah.
that.
All right, now I need a second.
Second.
Lavelle. Now, everybody understands what we're doing, what just happened? We didn't do the $10, we're doing $2 above, so it's $7.65 for people per 1,000 above the 2. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Same conversation for commercial. Motion to, well, the conversation in the work session was to go to 10 on commercial 5H users, 1,000 above the 2,000. Do y'all wanna do this, make a motion to go to 7, to increase it to $2? I need a motion to go to $2, increase above 1,000 for commercial. $7.65 total. Lavelle, second.
Second.
Ms. Carolyn? Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The next thing was to have, the discussion was to go to a maintenance fee for sprinkler meters. It's been pointed out that a sprinkler meter that has 0 usage, we don't charge anything for it. But if we have 2 gallons that goes through that meter, then we charge a minimum, what is it?
Sprinkler, 1180.
So if
Well, that's
they use
commercial.
2 gallons, it's 1180. But
That's-
we're not taking anything in. I've got customers with sprinkler meters and they never use them, period. But that meter still has to be maintained and kept up. The AMR heads have got to be replaced, batteries have got to be replaced. So the suggestion was we go to a $5 maintenance fee for sprinkler meters. That was the work session conversation.
Motion.
Second.
Jeff and Jimmy, further discussion? I did it again, we got discussion at 4. All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Can we do this effective, April 1st? April 1st, no one said.
Amend the motions to make all this effective April 1st. Everybody okay with that? Okay. Anything else, Lisa? Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kenny, Street Department. The paving.
Approve the paving from the highway board to Mac Lynch's.
Yes, we discussed in the work session to go ahead because the sewer is not under the pavement. from Mac Lindsay's Body Shop to the intersection of 4 and 30, that we go ahead and do that section of paving now. Then once the sewer is replaced, we can pave from his business back into the downtown area. So motion to go ahead and approve the paving. Jimmy? Jimmy and Carolyn, discussion.
But when we pave that, we need to go ahead and stripe it, cause
Yes.
that's the main
Yes.
issue
Right now.
right now, is the striping. Nobody can't see when it's raining, and they need to go ahead and stripe it.
It'll be just like West College going out of town, we'll put the thermoplast down. That's the same thing they use on the highway, and it'll last forever. Jimmy and Carolyn. All in favor of going ahead with that paving? Motion carried. Anything for the board to report? All right, moving forward, we've had a lot of discussion on 107 Marietta Street. The company that owns that, the investment company, has agreed to donate that property to the city of Booneville. Once we get the deed and a quitclaim deed and everything, Daniel, what all we need?
Once we get the motion and second and approval to accept it, we'll prepare a quitclaim deed for them to sign it over to us. All they want in return is a letter showing the reasonable value of the property for tax purposes.
They can get it off their taxes.
And then we can, at that point in time, move to do eviction.
Motion to accept property. Jimmy and Tara? All in favor? Pose same sign. Motion carried. I'm gonna ask to table the next one. I have called multiple cities. I still do not have a definitive answer for the rubbish fee. Some cities don't even pick it up. Some cities include it in their garbage. So I'm not prepared to move forward with a recommendation there. So motion to table the next item.
Motion.
Lavelle and Jimmy, all in favor of tabling? Motion tabled. Next, Mr. Tucker realized, I was gonna mention the work session. We had an awesome work session. We got a lot of things accomplished at the work session. And it's a wonderful opportunity when we can get together and meet and discuss the future of the city and everything we've done. A lot of the motions tonight were that came out of that work session. So it was a very good work session. And thank everybody who came. Other business, Daniel, you wanna explain why we're doing this?
On the horizontal directional drilling ordinance, this is these companies who come in from out of town. They drill across streets, sidewalks, your yard. They'll go down, they'll puncture, cut, destroy, smash your water lines, sewer lines, gas lines, and they'll just walk off and leave it. So this ordinance that we previously passed, and I'm asking you to revoke it and approve the new one, basically declares it to be a misdemeanor offense if you do not file and get a permit and follow the instructions on how you are supposed to dig. A lot of cities have this, but we have had several sections damaged that we'll probably never recover from, and they just walk off and leave it. Some of it is life-threatening because we had one gas line, is that correct, that was cut at some point in time?
Yes.
I couldn't hear it.
We had one gas line with a serious cut at one point in time. They left it for
They
how long?
left it all night long until 9 o'clock that morning.
So one spark would have
High pressure.
caused, so this will hopefully eliminate some of that. What I'm asking is, and it's unfortunate, but we have to read it tonight. I'm asking you to adopt it tonight and pass it and implement it immediately, and then we can publish one time in the newspaper after the fact. So this way we can get it to our city engineer, and they can start applying for the permits.
So first of all, we need to, motion to revoke the prior horizontal drilling ordinance.
Second.
All in favor? Pose same sign. Next is a motion to adopt the ratified horizontal drilling. Motion, Jeff? Jimmy, and it has to be read, so the floor is yours. And I'm sorry, this is a lot of legalese stuff, so y'all get ready to be bored.
I'll get tired of hearing me. Be it ordained by the mayor and the board of aldermen of the city of Booneville, Mississippi, find it necessary for the preservation of public health and safety to enact an ordinance to govern any and all horizontal directional drilling, that for the immediate and temporary preservation of the public peace, health, or safety, or for the good cause, this ordinance shall be effective from and after its passage, The purpose of this ordinance is the continuous horizontal drilling has taken place in the city of Booneville, Mississippi, resulting in cuts, punctures, or in other forms damaged water lines, sewer line, and gas lines, many that were never reported, and some lines left in the damaged condition for the extended period of time by contractors hired to do various utility installations, thereby creating a dangerous and sometimes potentially life-threatening condition.
Ms. Paving, you may pick up for me, read something? Go ahead.
That Alderman made a motion to pass this ordinance, seconded by Alderman
Jeff and Jimmy.
and with a vote of 5, 4, and 0 against, said ordinance passed immediately. That this ordinance shall be strictly enforced with zero tolerance for violation of the same for any of the terms listed below this paragraph. No person shall excavate, open, bore under, or cut any city street, sidewalk, right-of-way, easement, or alley within the city of Booneville without first obtaining a permit from the city. The city and its departments are not required to obtain a permit.
The application for such permit shall state the purpose for which the permit is desired and the location of the proposed bore, excavation, opening, or cut, and shall contain an agreement that the applicant will pay all damages to persons or property, public or private, caused by the applicant, his agents, employees, or servants in doing of work for which the permit is granted. All drawings and legal descriptions filed with the application must be signed by a licensed professional engineer or registered land surveyor. All applicants shall be required, as a condition to the granting of a permit, post a performance bond in the amount of $1 million to be effective at the start of said job and to remain in effect for 1 year after final completion of said job, so as to leave the street, sidewalks, and right-of-ways, city easements, and alleys in a good condition as the same was, and when the work is commenced, and to cover damages to city-owned utilities, included but not limited to water lines, natural gas lines, and sewer drainage systems. Further, to convey the cost of any water and natural gas due to damage to one of these type lines. Further, at all times shall keep the place where the bore, opening, cut, and excavation is made properly guarded by day and lighted by night, and to hold the city of Booneville, its officials, agencies, employees, and agents harmless of all damages, claims, costs, and charges that may occur from the applicant's use of such street, sidewalks, right-of-way, city easement, or alley by reason of such bore, excavation, opening, or cut. No permit for a bore, excavation, opening, or cut shall be deemed to convey or grant any privilege to occupy the space within or below any street, alley, sidewalk, or any utility, vault, pipe, or drain. Applicants shall submit any modifications to the plan and profile to the city for approval prior to start of work, or if after the permit is approved, prior to commencing the work involving the modification. All modification proposed after the permit has been issued must be approved in writing by the city engineer or the board of works. If it substantial changes the work approved in the permit prior to the modification being implemented. Approval of the horizontal directional drilling permit only pertains to work performed within the corporate limits of the city of Booneville and within the boundaries of city property, right-of-way, and easements. The applicant further understands and agrees that the city of Booneville owns and operates some of the utilities in Prentiss County and 4 other counties, that this performance bond shall cover any damage to any of these water, gas, and sewer lines. Applicant shall determine the actual location and elevation of all existing utilities prior to construction. As built plans of existing utilities shall be reviewed by applicant and city engineer for potential conflicts. All utilities, underground utilities within the limits of the drill path shall be included on the plan and profile in sufficient detail to determine the drill path and bend radii needed to avoid damage to any utility by the drilling operation. The contractor shall expose existing utilities as necessary to confirm conflict avoidance. The contractor shall expose existing utilities, I just read that. Applicant shall provide minimum clearances of 1.5 feet vertical and 3 feet horizontal between all underground utilities and applicant's installation, but a horizontal distance of 10 feet and vertical distance of 18 inches between the applicant's facility and any sewer, city sewer, fiber, gas, or water line shall be maintained unless a lesser amount is approved by the city engineer, who shall consult with the relevant city departments regarding same before getting approval. Applicant shall notify city engineer at least 2 working days in advance of anticipated start of construction. Work hours between 7:30 and 5 p.m. are to be between 7:30 and 5 p.m. If alternate hours and or work weekends are required to complete the project, prior written permission of the city engineer must be obtained. Applicant shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws and safety requirements and shall exercise precaution at all times for the protection of all persons, including applicants, employees, and property. Applicant shall not enter into or install its facility anywhere other than where allowed by the permit without the prior written permission of the property owner. Applicant shall not and shall take all necessary measurements to prevent any dirt or debris from any of its work sites to migrate off-site, including onto nearby sidewalks, driveways, and roads, and into catch basins or other drain. During the project, the applicant shall install any measures necessary to prevent post-construction erosion of its work sites due to weather and wind. Applicant will implement erosion control measures as requested by the city engineer, including but not limited to covering catch basins, grates with mats, and seeding and covering disturbed areas with straw mats. If the combined area of all the land disturbances for the project equals or exceeds 1 acre before beginning any land disturbing activities, applicant shall obtain a stormwater management permit. Applicant shall promptly restore all surfaces, including lawns, pavement, sidewalks, curved beams, and any other surface disturbed during the project to the original or better condition. When excavations, openings, or cuts are made hereunder, they shall not be left open longer than the necessity of the work demands. In refilling the excavation, opening, or cut, all earth, stone, and screening shall be thoroughly and properly compacted, and the surface of streets, sidewalks, and alley left in good condition as the same as was before the excavation, opening, or cut was made. The city engineer or his designee shall inspect the restoration of any opening in the street, alley, sidewalk to verify the restoration complies with the city standards, specifications for restoration of the same. Applicant must notify city engineer or his designee when the appropriate stages of the restoration are ready for interim inspection before covering same and final inspection approval of restorations upon completion thereof. Your turn.
Whenever it is necessary to break into a sidewalk to make an excavation, opening, bore, or cut, the entire sidewalk section so broken shall be removed and replaced, it being the intent of this section to prohibit the patching of only a part of a section of a sidewalk. In addition, the surface of any restored street, sidewalk, alley, driveway, or lawn area shall be maintained in good repair by applicant for 1 year following completion of the city approval of restoration. Applicant shall preserve and protect all trees in the construction area. The applicant will be responsible for any claim for damage to trees. Removing any tree requires the prior approval of the city engineer or his designee. Applicant shall reference all existing iron pins and monuments before excavation or drilling. If any pins or monuments are disturbed, a surveyor registered in the state of Mississippi shall reset the pins at the applicant's expense. Applicant shall confine all activities for the project to the immediate area under construction pursuant to the permit and shall not enter upon private property without written permission of the property owner. Applicant shall sequence its construction activity to limit the number of open excavations. Open excavations include any excavation that has not yet been backfilled. The maximum number of simultaneous open excavations, not including those used for utility locating, shall be 3 unless prior written approval from the city engineer or his designee is obtained. Applicant shall install road plates and proper signage as required by the city standards or the city engineer. Applicant shall repair pavement and sidewalks in accordance with the city of Booneville standards as provided by the city engineer. Contractor shall contact 811 and acquire utility locates for the entire length of the bore before beginning work. Applicant shall provide a maintenance and protection of traffic plan for approval prior to commencing construction. Applicant shall not alter existing pre-construction grades without express written approval from the city engineer. Applicant shall not install gas valves in sidewalk panels. No permanent above-ground utility markers are permitted. The City of Booneville horizontal directional drilling ordinance was adopted by the Booneville Board of Aldermen on the 7th day of February 2023, with Alderman Shields making the motion to approve the ordinance, seconded by Alderman Hicks, and the passing with a unanimous vote. Applicant represents that he or she fully reads said policy and consents and agrees to all terms and conditions of said policy, including but not limited to the insurance requirements, bonding requirements, and indemnification and hold harmless provisions. In there is a conflict between the policy and this permit, the terms and conditions of this permit shall govern.
That it?
Only change is going to be February 21st instead of February 2nd. That's it.
All right, we've read said ordinance. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting said ratified horizontal drilling ordinance? All in favor? Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next is the item added to the agenda to override the mayor's veto of the school board appointee.
Madam Clerk, could you provide the board members with a copy of that? I don't think they've received a physical copy. They have to have a copy
I will.
before the vote.
Talking about this or the?
Your veto.
Veto. She grabbed the ordinance.
Is it appropriate to say something? Nope.
I guess you get a motion in a second.
He's over here DoorDash.
I was just asking Jimmy, that was his meal for the night.
I've been eating them all night.
There she comes. There she Did you get copies from the read? All right, so here. Clerk, the minutes reflect that you've given each board member a copy of the veto. Could you read the veto for the minutes?
To whom it may concern, I, Chris Lindley, Mayor of the City of Booneville, do hereby veto the action of the board appointing Pat Green to the Booneville School Board. This is within the 10-day window required by the law to issue said veto. Date of action, February 7th, 2023. Date of veto is February 21st, 2023. Sincerely, Chris Lindley, Mayor.
Now, do I have a motion?
Veto.
Motion to
Override.
override the mayor's veto.
Motion to override mayor's veto.
Did we already have a motion to override that veto?
No, we
have
added it to the
motion
We
agenda.
added it
add.
We added it to
okay,
the
I'll make
agenda.
a motion.
Second? Jimmy?
No discussion.
All right, now open for discussion.
Before we do vote, in just a minute, we have discussed for 2 years that we think the process for this needed to be changed. And I would like to ask you to investigate some way. I know that it may not be able to do wards, maybe not. Maybe they're not gonna be equal for each ward to be represented in that way. What about a seat, a specific seat for, a minority seat, or ever what you wanna call it, to ask the judicial system, is this something that we can do?
Yeah. I can seek guidance from the Justice Department because the ward system was brought into existence, 12 years ago?
Yeah.
And the Justice Department had to approve that, so
Right.
we could use that to base our request through the Justice Department. Now, just to let you know that, part of that is going to be in direct conflict with what the school system is acting right now. Because the annexed area is treated like a second-class citizen when
Right.
it comes to the school board now.
Exactly.
Okay? So they will consider a
That's
lot
the way
of.
I've been treated.
They will consider a lot of issues, and so, we bring them in, but yes, I can request it if we have a separate vote and record the second part, because I have to have that on the minutes to show them that we have approved. So.
And I wanna say something too, because there's no, the vote is, how we voted before is public information, and I voted for Tyler. But I don't also, it's hard to remove Miss Pat as well, and I want the process changed.
So do I.
I want it changed. I do want more diversity, not just with this board, but with all the boards. That's why we discussed the planning board. It needs to be.
That's right.
It needs to change.
But I like to say something. This is not the issue. The issue is being fair. I sit on this board, I represent citizens just like y'all do. Y'all got on, every board member on that school board is from the west side of town. I have none representation on the east side of town. And 2 weeks ago, we set this city back to the 50s, just like Brother Copeland spoke and told you. We know that y'all voted for Miss Pat, which I told you standing up there. She's a nice person, and she's a good person. I am a nice person. I am a good person, but I've been treated like I was a second-class citizen in my ward. Just like, we don't need a black. What Miss Carolyn said. What, you spoke that, you did? You did, you said we didn't have one years ago. And I'm speaking right now, I'm telling the truth. That we have set this city back, but not putting a minority on the board. And I'm not just gonna say minority, I'm gonna say black, 'cause that's what I'm referring to, is a black person on the board. We have kids in the school system just like everybody else does. But if y'all make the choice tonight to leave it like it is, I'm moving forward with you heard Mr. Copeland. It's gonna hurt the school system. It's gonna hurt the children in the school system. I can't hold water back because I can't swim. And I can't hold the wind because God is gonna blow it. And I'm gonna stand for my peoples. And we coming with force. That's just the way it's gonna be. I'm gonna take it to the top. Because it should have never happened like this. Another thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna get the boundary settling. I'm gonna be involved in it with Brother Copeland. We're gonna get a lot done. We're not gonna stop. That's the problem of this town. Daniel just told it. He said that they need to get the boundary set. They treating the one in the annex area like second-class citizen, like the board just done treated me like a second-class citizen. And it's not acceptable to my community and my people. And what I'm asking y'all to do tonight to make this right is to vote for one of mine we had three good applicants, and none of y'all, it was all set up the way I look at it. It was set up the way you voted.
No.
Because
No, it's not.
Tara voted
It
for
was not.
Tyler the third time, then she changed her mind. He had the
not.
votes.
It was not set up.
It was set up.
It was not set
And
up.
Jimmy Clyde referred to me. I known her a long time. I known a lot of people a long time too, but I vote my conscience.
My question
I
is,
said
why
so
has
on
this
this
not
board.
been changed before we voted? Why has it not been brought up? This needed to be changed. I'm 100% for it.
Yeah, but
It needs to be
I done brought it up several times on the board. Go back in a minute. Nobody seconded. I talked to y'all about it, and one time before we never put on the agenda. Y'all said, "Well,
We asked
we
you to
gonna
bring
elect somebody in your ward. Just to have the application put in." That's
Nobody
the words
came.
y'all said.
Nobody came.
They don't have to
Nobody
come to
came.
y'all and ask you nothing.
They didn't come to the board.
The writer, they did. Three came.
No, I'm talking about 2 years ago. We said, let's do this by ward.
And
nobody
the
came.
only
We
time
have
war
brought
come
this
up is when I put pressure on the board now.
No, we
And
talked
pressure
about
finna
it.
come now that I'm not gonna be able to stop. Right now the time to do what's right. Now I'm being mistreated. And if I'm not, now just tell me if God was sitting here right now and we got 3 black applicants put in for this job, school board job, and one going off, Dwight Hastings, he finna go off the board March the 3rd, and God was sitting here and he said, well, we got a black guy going off, we need a replacement. Would y'all would have done that? I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, we gotta have representation on the board.
We do need to move forward, so I'm gonna let Mr. Hicks speak.
I'm gonna move forward.
Okay, I'm gonna let Mr. Hicks speak now.
Here's the thing that happened in my eyes that happened. Number one, I'm a brand new board member, never been on the board before. When the balance was passed out, we were told to vote. We marked it just like when you go into a poll, who we voted for. And that's what I did. I voted for somebody that I thought was experienced. I didn't have any idea of this deal at the time, or how we were supposed to vote. I didn't know that.
I know, but the right is right and wrong is wrong. We were replacing with Dwight is African American. We had 3 to put in for it. That's easy to do. We should just say, well, we're gonna put another African American back on the board.
Is that the rule?
That's the
Is
simple
that
way.
the rule
It
in
don't
place
have to
now?
be a rule. Right is
Is
right
the
and
rule
wrong
in
is wrong.
place now?
It don't have to be a
Let's
rule. A lot of
change
things
the-
ain't a rule.
Let's change the policy.
Change the policy.
Let's change the policy.
I'm sorry.
Let's change the policy. We can't move backward, but we can move forward.
All right, y'all.
It's
we
What are
need
the
to move forward, so
qualifications? I'm sorry.
excuse me, but the public can't speak, I'm sorry.
I'm
So I'm gonna
going,
offer, Jimmy speak, Tara speak, Lavelle, you spoke some. Carolyn, do you have anything to say?
I just voted for qualifications, I read what the law said applied.
you gonna say that, them three, stand up if you're here and you was, at.
Okay, hold on, Jeff, hold on. Public comments are not allowed.
Well, I'm just saying, they weren't gonna, I just want them to stand, that all of them were qualified. Every last one of them were
Can I
qualified.
ask you a question?
Yes,
Did we lawfully vote the way we were supposed to vote, the way the policy stands now?
Daniel, that is,
It's an
yes,
open vote, yes.
yes, it's an open
It is
vote.
an open vote with an open seat. We did it right, but we are for changing the policy.
We are now, because pressure's on.
We talked about it for 2 years.
Yep, no, the first time
We
y'all,
talked about it
I
for 2
came to
years.
y'all about this, y'all told me, said, we're gonna replace one out of your wall, and it never have got done. And-
Nobody
and
came.
now, y'all gonna tell another lie.
No, we're not
Okay.
lying.
Yeah,
Hold
you
on,
did.
hold on.
It-
Hold on,
That
Mr.
gavel's
Jeff.
for a reason.
Yes, I'm sorry. Hold on. Public, please be quiet. Everybody has spoken. I believe it's time for a vote. I am gonna go around the room. Ward one, are you for overturning the mayor's veto?
Yes.
Okay. Ward two, are you for overturning the veto?
No,
Ward three, are you for overturning the veto?
yes.
Ward four,
Yes.
at large?
Yes.
Okay. Mayor's veto has been overridden, and, next on the agenda is motion to adjourn.
Wait,
I'm sorry.
I thought I heard a request in there for me to contact the Justice Department.
I did.
and
Yes,
find
that's
out
right. I
about-
apologize. Motion to allow Daniel Tucker to research this in depth.
Motion.
Contact Justice Department.
Yes.
For
Yes.
their approval.
Can I say something?
Hold on one second. I have a motion. Who's second?
I'll second it.
Tara. All in favor of instructing and having Daniel to research this item? All in favor? Motion carried. All right, well, the vote's already done and everything on that item, and there's really nothing else on the agenda.
Can I speak?
We're not supposed to, Jeff, after everything's been done and said, because there's nothing
Well,
else on the agenda. I'm sorry.
I'll speak here,
Okay.
in about 2 weeks.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Tara and Lavelle, all in favor? Motion carried.